Hey, folks, welcome to another edition of Money Across America. My name is Garry Thurman, and I'm going to be your host. And I am honored every single week to be able to go around the great country that we have and talk to some of the best financial advisors out there, talk about their strategies and maybe what's different in their area versus here in Tennessee. Talk about what they're doing to help their retirees for income planning, for investment strategies, social security planning, long-term care planning. We're going to talk about all kinds of things on today's episode of Money Across America. And I am super pumped to have my California buddy, Chris Bulman, with me today. Chris, how you doing, bud?
I'm awesome. Thanks for having me, Garry. This is going to be fun.
Absolutely. Chris comes on and he goes, "Hey, Garry, good morning." I'm like, "Chris, it's afternoon here already." So a little bit of a time difference here. Chris and I got to hang out last week. We had a trip down in Mexico and got to get caught up with a lot of our friends and fellow advisors. And man, what a great time we had. And Chris, I know you had to come back and you had a golf tournament you had to do right when you got back from Mexico, right?
Oh boy, 3-day golf tournament at our golf club, and so it's been you can't complain about golf being exhausting. But I'm telling you, those fellows are athletes because I am exhausted.
That's right. It wears you out. I love it.
Sure.
So, Chris, let's just jump in. Lots of different things are going on in our country right now. New administration, the markets have been kind of all over the place. But you are out in the California area on the West Coast, and what are you seeing as some of the biggest financial trends in the California area right now?
Well, I think the first thing that's on a lot of people's mind is just, I don't know if it's a trend, but the fact that we're the fourth largest economy in the world, just past Japan, and we can't pay our bills. That's going to the government. That's the most frustrating thing. So as a taxpayer here, especially if you're a high income earner, you're paying really high taxes. It's just frustrating to see the financial trend of our government not being fiscally responsible ever. And I think that's the challenge we all face, is just knowing that the more money we make, the more goes out. You go into a higher federal tax bracket, you go in California, a higher state tax bracket, and it leaves you less and less to be able to potentially hire more employees, grow your business, things. And with interest rates high, that's not helping either.
So with you saying what you just said, Chris, we're in a great tax bracket right now. We have been. It's one of the lowest we've ever seen. And it seems it's going to be extended for a few more years. Now, I know taxes are more expensive in California than they are here in Tennessee. We all know that. But is it a topic of conversation you have with some of your clients right now, taking some of their taxable accounts, their qualified accounts, and maybe doing some Roth conversions while taxes are on sale?
Yeah, we've been talking about that for years because we've been in this lower tax, rate environment for quite some time. And I'm sure you talk about this on your show every week, but taxes are on sale. And the challenge is in California, sometimes when we have high income earners, you have to wait until that window when their income is actually low enough to be able to convert. But if you're in California, if you've retired, you've got a lower bit of income right now and a big IRA, it could be a really good time. If we think taxes are going to go up, could be a good time to go ahead and convert that, because especially in California, we're in Sacramento area. We're also in Temecula. We have offices in the East Bay, San Francisco area. But there's a lot of state workers in California as well. So state and hospital workers with high pensions, you almost can't get away from the income. So there's always challenges. But if you're at a point, maybe you have a year or two, prior to your RMDs, maybe you retired at 62, 65, pension hasn't started yet, something like that. If you're in a lower income, yeah, absolutely. I think it's time to do some conversions. The other thing here, we see California is different probably. You're starting to experience it, though, in your neck of the woods, too, with just mass immigration into your areas, right? To the southeast. They're coming from California, as a matter of fact. And they're selling their houses here for $1 million, $2 million and coming down there and driving all your prices up. So
That's right.
it's crazy. But the median house price here in California is $800,000 now.
Wow.
And that's median. So you've got maybe people that owned a business or did well in life. They're selling their house. They're selling in San Jose or the East Bay area, they're selling literally a 1,500, 2,000 square foot tract home for $2.5, $3 million, and going there and buying a who knows what.
It's amazing what you can buy here in Tennessee for that kind of money compared to California.
Yeah.
So I know inflation, cost of goods, market volatility. There's been so many things going on in 2025. How are you working with your clients, Chris, to maybe help them ease a little bit with, or not be so upset about the cost of goods or the market volatility? Maybe give them a little peace of mind.
Well, I mean, we try to relate, always look at history and see where history factors into this and kind of what that means for the future. I think with California, especially, this is a big reason people are leaving. It's 45% higher cost of living here than the national average.
Wow.
So I just had a cousin he's a doctor in the Midwest. He came out and I mean, for the price, he's got 10 acres. They cost, two to $5,000 each. In California, guy just bought a half acre on the golf course for 1.1 million. So, I mean, it's just for the land, right? So,
Yeah.
the challenges we face here are different. The things that we try to advise our clients on and all of our prospective clients, you have to have a plan. I mean, number one, you have to have a plan. You have to have a plan that accounts for inflation, accounts for taxes, accounts for different income streams, where you're going to spend your money in retirement, healthcare. That's the main. And then if we have a plan and it shows that it's not going to work, now we have real decisions to make and you can't pull punches. I mean, you have to, wouldn't you rather know if you have to keep working or if you have to spend less than just to one day wake up and you have no money? So we want to make sure that that plan's accurate. And, I learned this from Dave Ramsey. Sometimes you have to tell someone the next time you should see the inside of a restaurant is if you're working there, because you should be eating out. And most of our clients are more affluent, so we don't see that much. But sometimes we have to have that tough conversation, and it's just as valuable as being happy and telling someone they'll be fine forever.
Isn't it awesome though that you're in a position where you can have those conversations with clients? They trust you. It says, "Hey, here was the game plan for the first 5 years. Some things have not fallen in place. We got to make adjustments." I think most of our clients understand that we're looking out for their best interests as a fiduciary because we need to make some changes, right?
Absolutely, yeah, yeah, and it's important to understand. Sometimes we are where we live because of a reason, whether it's a job, but usually it's because we're from there or our family is there, so we can't leave. And that's a big challenge we have in California that sometimes I have to tell people, you're broke here, but if you move, you could live like a king and queen almost anywhere else, whether it's Belize or, Ecuador or, Kansas, Missouri, whatever it might be. But if you stay here, we're going to have real challenges because, bread's $7 a loaf, milk's too expensive, gas is $5.50 a gallon. I mean, it's really tough. And if you don't have the income or the assets to sustain that lifestyle, it's a real decision, which is why, again, first I remember years ago, it was Oregon, maybe Washington, and they would all, Californians are ruining it because they're all moving up here and driving up our prices. Then it shifted to Idaho. Then it went to North Carolina, Tennessee, Florida. So, I mean, it's just a continued migration as we have these 10,000 baby boomers every day, entering into retirement. And they have to make smart decisions where they're going to go next. And the ones that decide to stay here, the majority stay here, but it's because they have family here or they just can't go anywhere else.
So you brought up a word there that I want to talk about for a few minutes, and that's income. I think you and I both know when people go into retirement, they are so stressed out about making sure their money lasts, especially when they're paying $7 for a loaf of bread like they are in California with you. What are some of the income strategies you use to make sure that your clients are going to have a guaranteed income for the rest of their life?
Yeah, again, it all comes back to the plan for us. So we don't necessarily start with, you have a guaranteed income. We start with what's the overall plan look like. And then we back into, where are you? So for example, somebody comes in, husband and wife, they have maybe two pensions, 200, 250. You probably don't hear this in a lot of states, but people have $150,000, $175,000 pensions.
Wow.
So maybe they don't need more guaranteed income, but somebody comes in with $1 million, couple $1 million. And, once we understand their lifestyle and what they need to do, then the question becomes, here's one lump of money you're going to have, Social Security, assuming it, stays solvent, which really, who knows? But that's it. And then what other income streams do you have? Do you have any pensions or any other maybe rentals? A lot of people here have rental income.
Right.
The gap between those and what you spend, that's where we want to look at a guaranteed income stream. And then we find an investment out there, an insurance company, whatever it might be, a REIT, something that's going to give them that income stream that's going to last them the rest of their life that they can't outlive. And then whatever's left, we can put it in that growth bucket and grow it at, whether it's 6, 7, 10, 12%, whatever the risk tolerance for that investor is.
I like that. You brought up the words, Social Security. I'm going to bring that up next. I think, you and I are on the Wealth Council, and one of the conversations we had the last time you and I were recording, well, was how important it is to maximize or optimize your Social Security benefit. Chris, you and I both know thousands of people do it incorrectly every single day. That's a big deal. And I know here in Tennessee it's a big deal, but I'm assuming it's a big deal in California as well, as to when do people turn on their Social Security benefit?
Yeah. Yeah, and we both know there's benefits to turn on early, right? At 62, if you're going to die at 65, you better turn it on at 62. Or if you're going to die anytime between, maybe 70, 72, it's better to turn it on early. The challenge is, how do we know when we're going to die, right? So if they don't, in the absence of knowing that fact, then what? So we can look at the optimal time to take Social Security. We don't have that whole bag of tricks we used to have, 5-10 years ago before they changed the rules, but we can still take the optimal time. If we think we have good health care, let's say, the average, if you have an average healthy couple at age 65 today, one of you is going to live into the 90s, good chance.
Right.
In that case, we might want to wait, especially for the highest income earner, to take it at age 70. But we have software. I'm sure you have a lot of software you use that can, kind of diagnose the soonest you can take it and what your benefit would be, the latest you can take it in the operative time. And the difference can be up to $500,000 over your lifetime if you don't take it at the right time and you live into your 90s.
You make me think about a good friend of ours, Joe Wilson, and he knows I tell this story all the time about, Joe's a diabetic, and Joe's also the highest earner of the family. So Joe wants to put Social Security off for as long as he can because the chances of him passing away before Angela, his wife, are pretty great, right? Because of the diabetes. It makes a lot of sense. I think you have to look at people's health and the longevity of their family as well when it comes to Social Security. Do you agree with that?
Absolutely. I mean, that's one of the prime factors because, again, we don't know the day we're going to die, but we can kind of base it on our health up to this point. What's happened? What are we doing? Are we, there's a guy we both know that, the doctor told him, you got to stop drinking, you got to stop smoking, you got to, and he said, the hell with all that. I'm going to do it as hard as I can until I die. And if I die tomorrow, then I died happy. Yeah. I don't know. That's not the way I want to live, but you have to understand how, people go about it. But that decision is important. And sometimes it's important, even if you are not going to have a long lifespan, but you're the highest earner, you want your spouse to move up to that level. So even if you're going to die at 71, again, we don't know, you still might want to wait till 70 if it's going to give your spouse the highest income if she lives to 95,
Yeah, it just makes a lot of sense. Because if he passes, she does get his Social Security benefit, but she also gets a single tax bracket versus a joint tax bracket. So a lot of things change. She needs more money. That's always like asking this question to all the advisors out there. What's something you wish every American understood about financial planning?
Oh boy, that's a good question.
That's a great question.
I think the foundations of how money works. How does in other words, I saw a presentation one time that said if you're here now and your goal is to get here, but if you keep doing what you're doing, you're going to be here. And if you don't improve anything and things get a little worse, you're going to be down here. How soon do you want to get on the right line to get to where you want to go? And most people would say like immediately, because every day you wait, you fall further and further behind. So I think if people just understood the basics of financial planning, how important it is. The government doesn't teach us this, right? Because they don't.
Right.
They just keep printing more money to satisfy the needs that they have for. Imagine you and I. Let's say you make $50,000 a year, but you spend $100 every year. At some point, somebody's going to come take your roof away, your car away, kids, everything's going to be gone. But we don't do that to the government. We just keep spending. So I think, again, people understand how compound interest works. If people understood, a lot of times, I'm sure you see this, that first $100,000 is the toughest to get to, right? It takes most people at least 6 years to get to that first $100,000 saved.
Right.
Then that next $100,000 to get to 1 to 2 only takes about 5. To get from 2 to 3 takes maybe 3.5 to 4. And to get 4 to 5, it just keeps escalating because now your money's working for you. And a great book to understand what that all means is The Richest Man in Babylon. It's probably written 100 years ago.
Yeah.
Great tale about watching the people who know how to build money and learning from them instead of sitting around complaining about it and wondering why you can never make any money.
Yeah, I love that question, Chris. And I always go back to procrastination. I wish people, every American understood if they start planning early enough, they can have an amazing retirement. I think so many people put it off and put it off. And their excuse is, I can't afford to do this right now. Well, actually, you can. You just got to make some sacrifices.
Yeah.
I always reference David Bach's book, The Latte Factor. Basically it talks about instead of going and buying that latte every day, take that $10, invest it over a period of time, what it turns into. And I think a lot of people, especially our young people, and that's something I'm really trying to reach out to our young people right now, because the national debt that we have, the taxes are going to go up at some point, Chris. And I have a 29 and 28-year-old. I have a 1-year-old grandson. I want them to be prepared for higher taxes. And I'm sure that's something with some of your younger folks that you're seeing out there. You got to be talking about taxes right now.
Oh, yeah. Matter of fact, I can give you an example of what I do for my kids. I have 4 sons. You can see them behind me here. There.
Oh, yeah.
And so they're a little bit older now, 16, 14, 12, and 10. But they all have pretty large investment accounts. And what we did early on, I learned this from a book I read, but we started teaching them young. There's no point in waiting. We have people that are 85, they're about ready to pass away, and they've never talked to their 60-year-old about finances, right? So there's no point in waiting. It's not a better time than as soon as you can communicate with them. And so we made a deal with our kids a long time ago that for every $1 they invest, I'll match it times 4. So imagine that. That's all. 4 times growth right away. And what we found immediately was, say I have a birthday party, a bunch of kids show up. They don't bring toys anymore. Mostly they bring gift cards. So then my kids sell it to my wife. So my wife gives them, $200 for all their gift cards. Then they turn around and give it to me. Now I had to put $1,000 in their account. If they just gave you 200, I put in 8, that's 1,000. So they have these huge accounts. And then guess what? When we go to Disneyland, we go to trips, I say, do you guys want to spend any money? And they say, yeah, we want to. I say, okay, what's going to come out of your account? And they say, but we didn't know that. We don't want to spend any then. And what they've learned is if they go and buy a Star Wars toy for $100 that they took out of their account, a year later when they sell it at the garage sale for $10, and they realize if it was still in their account, it'd be worth 120, potentially 150 in the stocks we buy, they've realized that's no fun anymore. So now when you go to stores, they never beg for toys. They never beg for things because they want their money working for them. And they'll all 4 of them be millionaires by the time they're 30 because we've been teaching this, since they're 8 years old. And by the way,
that's an inspiration. That's great parenting right there, brother. Good job.
Yeah. And so by the way, I kind of lived a rich dad, poor dad life. My dad was blue collar. He was worked at Hallmark cards for years, just was never taught this stuff. My wife's father was taught by his dad early on, invest in stocks. So, my wife, her sister, brother, they've been buying stocks since they're 2 years old. So I really learned kind of from that example. But just yesterday, one of my sons was like, Dad, we made a ton this year. Why don't we sell this stock and then wait for it to drop and we'll buy it again? I said, well, buddy, let's talk about taxes. And I said, you at the rates you've made gains this year, you're going to be taxed at my bracket. You just gave away half of all your earnings, and that's how want. So we got to wait at least a year unless there's a really good reason to make the change. But they start learning all this. By the time they're 15 years old, they understand taxes, they understand growth, they understand compound growth. They understand 40% drops in their account because we just went through that in April, farewell March, and now it's up almost 100% since then. They understand buy and hold, they understand strategies. And my 14-year-old, this is funny, when he was 6, we were sitting there watching F1, I'll never forget. And he was in his little robe. He said, Dad, when I grow up, I want to move to Monaco. I said, Monaco? What do you know about Monaco? And he looked at me dead in the eyes. He goes, I know they don't pay taxes there. And I thought,
good for him, man.
That's cool.
I think that's so cool. So, Chris, you have a client walk in the door. They attend one of your events. They see your TV show, your radio show, whatever the case may be. But let's say they're a little skeptical or a little nervous. What is the sales process for you guys, or your planning process to give that client a peace of mind about working with you and your firm?
That's a good question. I think we're a little bit different than most because we don't have the high pressure to close business. We have a ton of clients and we have a ton of referrals and new prospects coming in all the time. So we have the saying we use is we sit down, we act like we have nowhere to get. We're not trying to get closed. We're not trying to get you to sign paperwork. All we're doing is sitting there to help you And at the end of that meeting, we'll know if we're a good fit for you and if you're a good fit for us. And if we are, then we'll move on to another meeting. But we've got nowhere to go. We have so many people that want to work with us, and we can only work with so many. Right. So there's never a hard sale. There's never a hard push. And I know you're the same way. It's like, we're here to help. If you want this type of help, we're going to help you. And we love our clients, and we treat our clients fantastic. And it's a two-way street. So.
Yeah, we had a client in here yesterday, and I just found out about this morning. Bobby, my advisor, was telling me that, he went over our plan, how we work here at Guardian, and the client was only interested in one thing, right? And Bobby's like, well, then you're probably just not a good fit for us. And it's hard to turn down, a new client. But we believe in what we believe in, just like you do. We want to do it the way we know works, and that's the kind of clients we're looking for. What are you doing?
Yeah, and Garry, I know you're probably the same way, because we both have feelings. If you're the type of person who's always going to harass your advisor or not see them as a fundamental part of your team, don't call me and don't call you, because if we don't wake up on a Monday looking forward to our meeting on a Thursday, then that's not a client I want.
That's all.
Mutual respect.
It's hard. People. I mean, and Chris, I know you. I've had to tell clients, okay, hey, this is not working. Here's 3 names of other folks that I think you'll fit in great with. I hate being that way, but we have a thought process and a planning process that we go through, and that's just the Guardian way, as I call it. So it's like, that's the client I want, and that's the clients we're attracting through our TV show and a radio show, just like you, which is really, really neat. How do you keep your current clients, because I know you have a lot, how do you keep them educated, or how do you keep in touch with your current clients so that they're continually learning what's going on out here in the industry?
Yeah. Well, I think we do quite a bit. We send out an email every week, a blog posting every week. We do social media posts twice a week. We have a TV show that plays 3 to 4 times a week. And then we do a speaker series as well, where we have multiple advisors in our office. We'll record 2 to 10 minute educational clips, whether it's options or Social Security or taxes or, the next bill 2.0, whatever it might be. And we're always sending them out. I was in my Temecula office when remember the Financial Freedom Day on April 2nd, and the tariffs hit. And when that came out, and I had left my office, I had meetings all day. I was on the way to the airport, and I got a message from my office, and our advisors had already put together a, sort of tariff what ifs. Here's what you need to know. Nice video explaining everything. Don't get nervous. We're going to see a dip, and then we're going to see a rebound. And it's kind of just played out exactly as the video said. And here I was on the owner of the company. I'm on my way from the office to the airport, and this is all done, sent to compliance, approved, and then sent to our clients within a couple of hours. It's fantastic. So I love how our COO, we have a director of marketing, and we're always in touch with our clients and our prospects.
It's a beautiful thing. I'm in my studio here in our office, because like you, we do so many videos, educational videos for our current clients and for just people in general, people that are not our clients. We want to help educate the people here in the Tennessee Valley, just like I know you are in California. And isn't it amazing that you have a team? You're on your way to the airport, but your team took the initiative to put this together. That means they care. You own the firm, but at Bulman Wealth, they're really they're team players, and they're helping your clients.
Yeah. And it's, that's just the beginning, right? It's a lot of times people come to us because they need help. Sometimes people come to us because they're the expert, but they know their wife's not an expert, or they're the expert, but the husband's not an expert, and they want somebody to bridge the gap and be there if they pass.
Nice.
That's one of the biggest roles we play, is someone to talk to, cry to, lean on when that day comes. I mean, we've lost large, really good, long-standing clients this year to death, and we're there. We go to the funeral. We speak when needed.
Absolutely.
It's all love and support. They've loved us and trusted us, and we get back just the same.
You love them back. I love that. The videos you're talking about, I'm assuming people can go to bulmanwealth.com, or the videos all on the website, Chris?
Yeah, bulmanwealth.com. You can go to the media section, and there's all kinds of podcasts, radio, TV,
Okay. Yeah, same for us, which I like. I like this question, Chris, and then I'm going to get into a little personal just about you, but let's ask this question first. If you could give one piece of advice for someone who is 5 years from retirement, one piece of advice, what do you think that would be?
Oh boy, update your plan. Number one, update your trust. And you should be looking at the trust every couple of years. I know every state's a little different. California, if you've got a few bucks or a house, you better have a trust in California. It takes forever to get through probate, and pretty much everyone's going through probate if you don't have it dialed in, and it's going to cost you a ton of money. So that's one. But I would say get that plan dialed in, and if you're, we measure risk, on a kind of a 0 to 100 scale, and if you're at 70 or 80 or 90 on the riskalyzer risk scale, boy, that may not be where you want to be just a few years before retirement. Because what if your retirement was 1980 and you had all that? You'd be mining gold everywhere you look. But by the same token, if you would have retired in 1998 or 99 with the exact same strategy, you'd be money by 2010, right? But it's so important to make sure that your portfolio is set up for anything that could happen in the future. So that's the number one. Yeah.
And isn't it so easy with the way that we do things? Bring people in. We need to know what that risk capacity is. What is your risk level? What can your stomach take if the market takes a 40% drop? And that's where that planning process comes in. So I loved your answer there. Get that plan put in place and make sure it fits your risk capacity. You got to know what that is. I think that's huge. Chris, I want to talk about you for a few minutes. What is your why to doing what you do? Why do you get up every single day and go to work and work as hard as you do for all of your clients and future clients?
It just takes having one meeting to remind me of why I do that. And we have a lot of fun, and we're all different. Every advisor is different.
Oh yeah.
My clients come into me, a lot of them, and this is after the clients for a while, but we just talk life for a long time, and I have really great friends. Sometimes they traveled, been to Mexico with me, some of my clients. But it's just about the relationship. Now, some people don't want a relationship. They want a trusted person that they could go in, download their financial stuff and leave. And we have people like that here too. It's just not my personality. I'm more of I just love people. So,
yeah.
But that's what keeps me going. And I'll tell you, my dad just happened to get lucky. His whole career worked Hallmark cards, had a big profit sharing bucket built up, retired, could be a king of Kansas. Retired in 99. 2000 happened, 2001, 2002. By the time 2002 was over, he'd lost over 60% of his portfolio from income that he's taking from a declining asset and the asset declining. So, just do the math. If you have $1 million and you're taking 60,000, some guy told him he could take 60,000 a year out, taking 60,000, the market drops over 40%, and he's taking 180,000 over those 3 years. Yeah. It's not a good sign. I had to tell my own dad to go back to work. And
so, man,
that's not what you want.
Unfortunate for your dad, but kind of good for you as far as a learning moment, not to help your clients not be in that same situation. Correct?
Yeah, absolutely. And by having them go back to work part-time, kind of stall the income, we were able to grow it back up. And then, they've been fine since. But that's just not my dad. You go back to 2002, 2009, how many people that retired had to go back to work? It was crazy. So, and we don't want to see that with any of our clients.
No, not at all. Not at all. And I agree with you. So I always like this question too. So I think it's a lot of fun. What's the best financial advice you ever got, and from whom?
Oh, probably my father-in-law. This goes into not just financial planning. Well, number one, the only dollar you can invest or save is the dollar you don't spend. So remember that. But this more into lifestyle. Don't be assuming you have income and money and you have places you can put it. Don't be spending it all. Don't be spending your time on things that you can have other people do. I have 4 kids, for example. I have a wife that there's way too much laundry. There's, at some point we need some help around the house, or we can keep cleaning the toilets and the showers and the laundry every day and never have any time for family and fun. So there becomes a time, at this point, we keep a list, and I learned this from my father-in-law, he's a big business owner. And so he would never invest his limited personal time into things that he could pay someone else to do. So once the list gets about 20 things between light bulbs, painting here and there, cleaning something up, fixing a pipe, hanging pictures, we hire the handyman. He comes over, he does it all in one day for what would have taken me hours and hours of cursing and frustration,
Stress.
get it done with smile and whistling and humming. And I'm happy, and I can keep focusing at work and keep focusing with kids and personal life. I think that's important. That's just not financial. That's about,
Life.
happiness. Yeah.
Why, you're making me think, Tristan's sitting in here with me right now. When I wanted to develop this studio and start doing all this video work and all this other stuff, I'm like, I do not know how to do any of this stuff. Yeah, I've got to find someone who knows how to do lighting and audio. That's just not my expertise. And it took a lot of stress off me. Now I can just come in here and shoot video and have fun and help our clients. And I think kind of relates to what your father-in-law said. If you're not an expert at it, or you don't want to take your time away from doing these things, find someone that can help you do them. I love that. I think that's great.
Yeah.
That's great.
That's also the richest man in Babylon, right? Hire
That's right.
those that know what they're doing. Don't try to do it all yourself. So
That's right. I love it. So final question for you. Then we're going to talk about how to get in touch with you and our tax calculators and stuff like that. If you were not a financial advisor, what would you be?
oh boy, I would be an entrepreneur for sure. Because
Yeah.
I'm not good at taking direct directions from others. I started my first company when I was in college. I started a house painting franchise.
Nice.
And I had between 10 and 20 employees every summer. While I was going to college, I was a bartender and worked at a restaurant also. So I would be on my own doing something. It would be a business. And honestly, in today's world, I'm trying to figure out for my kids where should they be focused? Because it's not like the old days. You go out and you could teach your kid how to do a newspaper route or a soda machine. You buy some soda machines and fill them and make money. Now it's all on the internet, and 5G and autonomous vehicles, and like, where can they make money? Maybe we buy an autonomous car and it's always on the go. Making money with no drivers. The future is totally different for all of us, and I would say my suggestion is people should be learning about all these things: AI, 5G, autonomous, and stay up on that stuff.
Yeah, it's big. It's big. So, Chris, you and I talked about taxes for a few minutes, and you and I both have a tax calculator. Yours is BulmanTaxBill.com and BULMAN taxbill.com. Tell the folks a little bit about that.
Yeah, man, I think it's important when you have an IRA or a large IRA, especially if you also have other income like a pension or rental incomes. It's important to understand how the taxes are going to impact you. So if you go into the BulmanTaxBill.com, you can put in your information, what's in your IRA accounts, and then you can begin to understand what that tax bill is going to be in the future. We had a couple of doctors come in. This was probably 3 years ago, and we did their whole plan. And he kind of went straight to age 70. This was back when I was 73. Went to age 73 and said, "What is that?" And I said, "Well, that's your income at age 73." He said, "Well, why did it jump by like 4 times?" I said, "Well, because all this money that you're putting in your IRA and your hospitals are putting in to your deferred comp, that's all going to grow tax deferred, but the government makes you start taking it out, right? And so when they do, your taxes are also going to go up, super high. So, well, what can we do to change this?" I mean, the guy was 40, and he's saying, "Well, what do we do to change it at 73?" So that's the biggest thing, is just looking at it on the BulmanTaxBill.com or your tax bill website, but understanding in the future there is a reckoning coming. Is it a good reckoning or a bad reckoning? And you won't know until you to go and fill it out. And then we have a conversation, and we start learning how to sort of lower that tax bill that's definitely coming.
Chris, I got to tell you a funny story. One of the things I say, because you are BulmanTaxBill.com. We are PlanTodayTaxBill.com. So if you're in the Southeast, PlanTodayTaxBill.com. If you're in California, BulmanTaxBill.com. The same calculators, they work the same. But I always say on the radio show, look, you can do this from the comfort of your house. Pop some popcorn, get your favorite wine, and go to PlanTodayTaxBill.com. Just last week, while we were in Mexico, one of my clients texted me a picture of he and his wife sitting over the couch with popcorn and wine, and he had his phone out where he was doing the tax bill. I laughed so hard.
Oh, yeah.
But guess what? We did it.
You got to ease the pain somehow. A little wine helps. So
That's right. And it's funny, he's scheduled, I think he's coming in here tomorrow or Friday to talk to Tim and Bobby about some Roth conversions now that he did that. So BulmanTaxBill.com, I love that. They can find Bulman Wealth Group on all the social media outlets that you have out there. Chris's direct phone number, 916-458-8199. Again, 916-458-8199. And I would encourage you guys to go to BulmanWealth.com and check out those videos. Go to the media tab, check out the video tabs, check out the radio show, check out the TV shows. You can really get to know Chris and his team. And then all you have to do is call. Just simply give them a call, go in and have a conversation with them. And Chris, someone does this. They call you guys, they come in and have a conversation with you. Maybe they just want a second opinion. Briefly, tell us about how that first meeting goes.
Yeah, I mean, well, the good thing is, number one, we have offices all throughout the states. We're in Southern California, we're in the Bay Area, we're in Sacramento, and we have clients in, as far north as the border and south as the border. And we have, if you don't know how to use Zoom, we have our staff will call you and train you how to use Zoom prior to the meeting, or you can come into one of our local offices to meet. But the meeting is just, like I said earlier, we've got nowhere to get. We're going to sit down, and I am just going to, or my advisors are going to be an absolute just at your service, basically. You tell us everything going on in your financial life. What do you want to know from us? What kind of direction do you want to go? And just anything you want from us. We're sort of like the Ask Jeeves, it's just a conversation. There's no sales pitch. At the end of that first meeting, we're going to have a good idea who you are. You're going to know exactly who we are. And then we'll decide, does it make sense to move on to a second meeting? And if we move to that second meeting, then we'll start gathering statements. We'll start building the start of a financial plan. And you're going to have a really good understanding where you stand, what your future looks like to a good degree of certainty. And you'll know if you like us and want to work with us, and we'll know if we're good and we're going to work with you.
I love that. If you're in the California area, from Sacramento to San Diego, LA, San Francisco, I would encourage you guys, again, go to BulmanWealth.com or simply give them a call, 916-458-8199. If you're interested or curious about what future taxes might do to your current portfolio, BulmanTaxBill.com. So if you're out on the West Coast, check that out. If you're here in the Southeast, PlanTodayTaxBill.com, PlanTodayTaxBill.com, or give our office a call at 423-710-9199. Chris and I work with a lot of other financial advisors. We're all in this one big, awesome group. We get to share ideas with each other. We get to share stories, what's working in California, what's working in Tennessee. The bottom line is we're doing a lot of things the same way. Doesn't matter if you're on the West Coast or the East Coast. The whole goal for us is to work with you and be the best advisor, the best fiduciary advisor that we can be to make sure that your retirement is stress-free. And Chris, I have a funny saying, I want you to live every day like a Saturday because I love college football. So I love that. Chris, any final words to our viewers out there, buddy?
Yeah, I would just say, man, thanks for having me on the show. It's fun. I love hanging out with you. And just like with you and all the guys we know from the group that was in Mexico or the group that was on Fox Business together, there's a lot of really good financial advisors out there. Make sure you interview people, find out what you're looking for, and make sure you get an honest answer. I had the most recent new client we brought on. She told me, you're the first out of 5 that I interviewed that actually told me this isn't going to be easy. This is going to be a road, and we've got to make some tough decisions. And so I want to work with you because I want the solid truth. And if you're looking for help, you're looking for the truth, you're looking for direction, give one of us a call, and we're there to help you.
Chris, I appreciate you, buddy.
Thank you. Good.
All right, we'll talk to you soon.
Maybe help you in good health. Yep. We'll talk to you soon.